guests at Weirdly Unsettled. We're going to be reviving a case in this episode, and it will be the death in Oslo. I guess, how often do you hear about a man or a woman being killed in a hotel room but having no identification whatsoever?
Very rare.
Now, as you probably have written down there, you've stated that it was produced like on TV already.
Yeah, it was featured in the Unsolved Mysteries in 1995.
And many people seem to believe that the woman in question, who was killed in a hotel room, actually committed suicide. Now, like I said, we're going to be reviving this case, and I'm wearing my family flannel. You've
made a big mistake.
It's not my family flannel.
Suits.
Was it? Suits what?
Your personality.
Flamboyant, obnoxious, a bit of a cunt. Let's get into it. On the 3rd of June in 1995, a woman was found dead in the Oslo Plaza hotel in Norway. She had a room on the 28th floor. The room number was 2805. Her body was found with one gunshot to her forehead. The gun still in her hand. And like I said, many people would believe this would be suicide. But we're now going to uncover the case, uncover the events, and like I said, in this season, we're going to go a lot deeper. So consider this a pre-warm-up, like we're heating up the oven, because what we have in store is a lot more sadistic and violent than you could ever imagine.
Oh yes.
So this is just a pre-warm-up.
It's going to be a positively graphic.
Yeah, consider this a part of foreplay.
Mm.
You know, the little teaser at the height of sensation. Let's get into it. Just really into this thing. You were like, yeah, go on, carry on, turned on. Let's get into it. At 10:44 p.m, a woman using the name Jennifer Fergate checked in at the Oslo Plaza Hotel. She signed her name as Jennifer Fergate and booked the room she would be found dead in. 2805 was booked, and it was also booked in with Lewis Fergate. Or Louise, but we're going with Lewis. I think it's Lewis.
Mm.
So basically, she booked it in as 2 people, but she obviously gave her details. Now, upon checking in, a member of the hotel claimed she saw Jennifer with a tall man between ages 35 and 40, but wasn't identified or seen since she checked in. Jennifer said she was 21 years old, but she was never asked to provide any identification, which I think is very weird for a hotel.
Mm.
But then I'm thinking, okay, it's 1995. Are they going to be this, you know, security cautious? I don't know what the hotels are like in Norway. I'm pretty sure they're, I don't know. Judging by this one,
They're much more relaxed.
Yeah.
Anyway, like Norwegians in general are much more relaxed.
So maybe this is why she wasn't asked to provide identification. But, like I said, Jennifer said she was 21 years old. She filled out the form, checking in. She put her address down. She put down, you know, the village of where she actually came from, which I thought was quite intriguing. Because it seemed like she had all these details lined up and ready.
Rehearsed, maybe.
Some would say that. She also put down an employer, which obviously doesn't exist, which no one actually found out until later on. Now, Matt, she filled out all of this without hesitation or thought, like what you said. Very relaxed, seemed like she'd done this shit before. So, whether the information was true or false, it was still there. The hotel checked her in, and the number that she also put down was also incorrect, might add. But the hotel never checked any of this. So from what they're thinking, she's relaxed, she's writing down everything. I've been to hotels where I've had to write down things, and I've paused. I've had to rethink where I live. I'm not sure about you, but you look at it, and you think,
oh,
okay.
no, you do hesitate when you get asked.
Yeah.
Because you're like, right, okay, I want to say this, or write this specifically. Right.
Yeah. And you don't want to make a mistake, because then you look retarded.
Well, yeah, but in some cases, if you put false documentation down, then...
And most places nowadays will take a credit card or a debit card as a form of
Yeah.
payment. 1995, that didn't exist. Like I said, she had a relaxed demeanour. about her. So there was no real reason to question this woman. Staff members also state she could speak English and German without any accent.
Yeah, she was very fluent in multiple languages.
But for someone to have no accent, seems like she travels around a bit. I mean, I've got an accent that don't even sound like I'm from here.
True.
I've travelled around a bit. Don't you dare say I've got around a bit, otherwise you'd get a backhander.
I wasn't thinking of it.
So Jennifer roughly weighed 147 pounds. She had short brown hair and blue eyes. Between 12:34 a.m. and on the 1st of June and 8:50 a.m. the 2nd of June, eye accounts and keycard registration was confirmed that Jennifer was not present in her room.
Okay.
Right? So bear this in mind. So for over 24
So
hours...
no one signed into the room using a key card, or they didn't see her walk through the lobby.
Exactly. So she'd been missing for 24 hours. No one knew where she'd been. No one knows what she had done. Right? So to me, I'm thinking like, okay,
it's not unusual to, you know, if you're on holiday, you go out, you gallivant
for 24 hours.
Well, you get back late.
She should have checked in to open the door. It would have registered.
It would have registered, yeah.
For 24 hours.
Okay, yeah, that's...
She's up to shit. That's all I'm gonna say. But to me, at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, so what? You know, in my head, I'm thinking like, what did she do for this long?
Yeah, like when I first read it, I thought, you know, like tourists, you go out, you check out the sights,
but you still come home to sleep.
No, yeah, well, you get late back
unless,
to the hotel.
wait, I've just thought of it. Unless she found a man and hooked up with him for the night.
Yeah,
Possibility.
Or a friend.
Possibility.
We don't know.
Possibility. But to me, it still kind of seems a bit weird. But upon return to the Plaza, she requested to extend her stay to the following Sunday. At 8 at night, Jennifer ordered some food, potato salad. The usual, she asked, and she asked it to be delivered to her room. It was delivered 17 minutes later by Christian Anderson, who describes the room as completely untouched.
Like she was just using it as a...
She's just using it as a,
Go back and...
Kind of makes you think,
herself,
okay.
Kind of thing.
Jennifer gave Christian a generous tip. And this is where she
was 5 times more than they would expect.
It was
like
I hope I say this correctly, but it's Norwegian crawler. I hope that is correct. If not, I'm so sorry. I'll probably upset a load of Norwegian people. This is probably the one country I have never upset on this channel. There's always a first. But still, and you know, still that's a bit weird. Give someone a generous tip.
An overindulgence tip, yeah. Like you know, you'd always tip a little bit.
And may I add, Christian, that was the last time anyone saw Jennifer alive. That is the last time. Okay. Several payments had been missed and hotel staff tried to contact her via the room's television. Now, in this hotel, downstairs in the lobby, they could send messages to the TV. And, you know, if you didn't want to be disturbed, you'd request and send payments through the TV messaging service.
Yeah. Okay?
So just bear this one in mind. Okay, none of the messages from the downstairs lobby had been read up until June the 3rd, where somebody inside the room confirmed the messages was received. A supervisor at the hotel was concerned when the Do Not Disturb sign was still on the door after 2 days. To me, I'd put that Do Not Disturb sign up all the fucking time. I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't want no one knocking on my door.
No, you go away for...
I'm having privacy.
Yeah, you go away to be alone and away.
So to me, the whole 2 days Do Not Disturb doesn't really sound iffy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound suspicious to me.
No, that doesn't. But they made a note of it.
Okay.
Right, so they made a note of it because obviously the payments weren't paid.
Okay, so everything all added up.
Yeah.
It would make sense.
Okay.
That they would make a note of it at least.
Yeah. So at this point, security was called. A 25-year-old guard knocked on the door. Moments later, a gunshot was heard inside the room.
Or something that sounded like a gunshot.
May I add. They believed there was 2 people to be inside that room. That's what they believed.
Yeah.
Right? At this point, I guess they raised the alarm.
Interestingly.
Yeah.
So the guard, obviously being a guard, he had obviously
He could have gone in there himself.
torch. He had keys to get into the
Yeah.
into the room. But obviously hearing the gunshot or
Yep.
the large loud bang,
Yeah.
for argument's sake,
He ran away scared like a little bitch.
he ran off to find the head security guard.
Yeah.
Rather than using the two-way radio that he had on him, his person.
Oh, okay. So maybe he just panicked. I mean,
Well, yeah. To
If
be
you
fair,
see-
if you hear a gunshot, you're not going to be like, "I've just heard a gunshot right outside the room."
can you imagine?
Like,
Gunshots are flying through the door and you're like, no, fuck it, I'm running.
He probably didn't want
Right,
to raise suspicion and just walked away.
Yeah, when people say
It's one of
security
those.
guard, I think like a useless security guard. I don't
You
think.
just think Paul Blart.
I just think someone's so
Mall cop.
fucking useless that like they're probably about this big, and they just knock on the door like, I'm a security guard. Bang! Oh shit! Run away.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of just doesn't really add up to me.
No.
So anyway, like I said, at this point, they raised the alarm. They called the police. The room was now, for the time being, unwatched and unattended. So far, what are your thoughts? Clearly, someone's in that room.
Clearly, someone or some people are in that room.
Ooh, some people. Drop in the comments what you think, how many people were in that room. Let's get further. Okay, so the security manager knocked on the door. At 8:04 p.m. it seems so much could have happened in this time frame. From that moment, like I said, to now, there was such a long wait. Right? And it just doesn't make sense for me to think that anything could have happened because no one's watching that hotel room.
No.
You hear a gunshot and no one goes back to check.
No.
The police, as you'll probably find out in a second, that they took so long to get there. But anyway, I'll carry on. I digress. I would also like to say, if this was England, the police would have already been round within seconds.
Oh yeah.
You know, it just goes. It's very, very, very weird. But you know, I suppose you probably get a riot squad as well. If there was gunshots,
Oh yeah. If there's gunshots,
you'd have the full
you'd have
works
the
in
full
England.
whack.
Yeah, you'd have the full works. So
armed guards and everything.
so after no response, the security manager opened the door.
Yeah. It was the young security guard and the security, the head of security went back.
So he opened the door, which had been double locked from the inside. As he got the door open so far, right, he saw Jennifer on the bed, unresponsive, in an unnatural position. Now, I'm not quite sure what an unnatural position is. I'm not really an investigator in this type of manner, but
Well, the only thing I would say,
I mean, it's not like she's.
like if she had fallen onto the bed, then it would be like her arms and legs would be pretty much like everywhere. They wouldn't be in a certain.
Whereas this is an unnatural position.
Yeah, it's like she was placed.
It's like, or in other words, it's like she's probably some type of origami expert and tried to do that to her body.
Yeah, or like.
Can you imagine opening the
double
door?
joints and
Yeah, can you
stuff
imagine
like
opening
that?
the door? She's like in the crab position. You're like,
Yeah,
that's-
sorry, I'll come back later.
That's unnatural.
That is unnatural.
Very unnatural.
Definitely when rigor mortis set in.
The room was dark. The television was on, and a horrendous smell was coming out of that hotel room. I mean, funny. It's been a while. The gunshot went off. It took so many people to get up there.
Yeah, but even say, for instance, even after an hour and a half, it wouldn't smell as bad. Really?
Depends what she's done in that room beforehand.
Yeah, true.
Sex room. That's the one thing, the sex room. The manager never went in. He closed the door and waited.
Maybe he's guilty.
He closed the door and waited for the police to arrive. So after he saw a woman laying in an unnatural position, the television on, and
Nah,
obviously-
we'll wait.
yeah, clearly someone's dead, and they're like, nah,
we'll definitely.
not in our hotel. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
get
sense.
out of the rooms.
Okay, so the police arrived half hour later. Yet again, another lazy police station. This is what I don't get. It's another lazy one. They announced Jennifer dead by a single gunshot wound to her forehead. Thinking suicide, a 9mm pistol manufactured in Belgium was in her right hand. Right? This gun has something odd about it, as it was favoured by the police, by also Russian spies.
Secret Service.
Yeah, and the Secret Service. So this certain gun, you're not just going to pick up off the street. You're not going to get it off a black market.
No,
there's no way.
It's police and military.
Yeah. And may I also add, because I'm sure most people wouldn't know this, that the serial number had been professionally removed from the gun.
And not just filed.
No, it's not filed or sanded down. This had been professionally removed, so the gun technically has no owner.
No license.
Which is a bit.
You can't have a licensed weapon without a serial number.
Yeah.
So
whose fucking gun is this?
It's a ghost.
We'll never know. Right. Oh, also I wrote down military also use these type of guns.
Yeah.
So I was just like,
Yeah, the Glocks were
yeah
used in the Second World War.
Yeah.
Favoured by German and Russian sort of kind of like the European countries would like have Glocks, whereas everyone else would have a different kind of.
I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Settle down. So just bear this in mind, the 9mm pistol has had its serial number professionally removed. There is no fingerprints on the gun, not even this woman's, Jennifer's. Right? Now this is where it gets a bit weird, because there is no bullet box either for this gun.
No, not for that gun.
Not for this gun, right?
Not for that one.
But blood was on the phone in the hotel room. Blood was also found on the bed and the walls. However, no blood on the hand or gunshot residue on her hand. So yet again, no gunpowder, no nothing.
No, and the way that the gun was placed was her thumb was through the trigger.
Yeah.
So it would fit with a suicide.
Yeah.
Like you would hold the gun like that.
Yeah.
But I'll get on to like the heaviness and stuff in a minute.
But technically, well, we quickly go into it. So if you hold a gun like this,
if you hold the gun
like that, right,
in front of you,
God, it's like we're strangling someone.
Well, a Glock is quite massive.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
like, it's quite weighty as well.
Right, I'm just saying, you shoot yourself in the head, right? That gun's going to drop out your hands.
Well, technically, if it was a smaller gun, and it didn't have the weight or the size of the Glock, it would it could stay on your thumb.
Right.
Like with the pressure of it. But the recoil on this weapon would shoot it across the room because it's a very powerful. It's like a shotgun in your hand. That's the
especially
recoil.
This close,
and definitely that close as
this
well.
Close.
Like the recoil, it would drop onto the floor. It would never stay in your hand.
And may I also say, before you do say that she could have held it this way and shot herself, right? The shot was taken through a pillow through the mattress, so she would have had to have been laying on her back, which then would make it very awkward.
It was very
if a pillow is over your head and you were shooting like this,
you would have to feel like the barrel. You would have to feel the barrel of the Glock.
Yeah, but it's too complicated
to make sure that you're hitting yourself in the right place.
But it's too complicated.
Yeah, you would never do it on your own.
It's too.
And why would you do that?
Why would you go to this much effort if it's suicide? You wouldn't give a shit. You just shoot yourself in the head.
Yeah, you'd do it. No pillow. You just would.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to die, but I don't want anyone to hear about it.
Exactly. Now, the police also noticed that in this room there was obviously the duvet that was on the bed, but there was also another duvet on the floor. So, considering the hotel only gives you one duvet,
and even when they clean, they take the
there is no possible way another duvet could have been in her room. Not by mistake or anything, because they're very cautious about their belongings, right? And to me, that kind of doesn't make sense either.
No, that's...
Okay, right. Authorities found no evidence of this woman's identity. So many people online refer to her as the Russian spy. At this point, Jennifer Doe of this case.
The gender.
Now, there is no passport. There was nothing. The briefcase in her room contained 25 bullets, but the magazine of the pistol contained 7 bullets. So they didn't match what she had done. And also, if she had vanished off for 24 hours, she's used a different gun at some point.
And she's used, I think it was 3 bullets out of that.
Yeah. So to me, I'm thinking like, she has shot someone within 24 hours, perhaps, and then she hasn't done the job. Or she thinks
she hasn't done it properly.
Exactly, right? So, also may I add, the labels on her clothes, all of them had been removed. Now, I will say this, there are other cases that we will delve into where labels have been removed from people's clothing. Now, obviously, I can see why, if you're going to remove labels.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because you'd look at the brand.
It could track you back to a shop. Maybe
Exactly. Yes,
with a camera or.
Exactly.
You could be identified through that.
But all her clothing had no labels on it. So someone's taken the good time, whether it was her or someone else, to cut every single label out.
Well, I'm not being funny. You had an hour, at least.
Yeah. There was also men's cologne was on the side of her dresser, which I thought was a very strange thing. But it did have Jennifer's fingerprints on it. So I was thinking, like, maybe she just likes the smell of men's cologne.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I know plenty of.
Weigh up the pros and cons here. So far, the do not disturb sign and the men's cologne doesn't really make sense. But
unless she was entertaining.
Or she sprays her men before having sexual.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
parts.
Entertaining, maybe. On the dark side aspect.
Now, as I said, the men's cologne found her fingerprints, but under no circumstances throughout history has this woman's fingerprints ever been found on a database. They have never been found on a database. They have no idea who this woman is. The clothes police recovered were 4 jackets, a jumper, a shirt, 2 bras and a blazer. No trousers or skirts were found, but 2 pairs of pyjama shorts and a pair of shoes. This woman was going commando.
She was going more than commando. She got no pants. She's got no underwear. Like downstairs underwear.
No.
And she's got no trousers.
I also forgot when
apart from what she was wearing.
I also forgot to mention when she checked in, she had a very long coat on. So you wouldn't know if she wore trousers or a skirt upon entering.
Fair enough.
Right. It seems a bit weird. Like I said, there was
no bottom clothing.
Wear 4 jackets, a jumper, a shirt, 2 bras and a blazer. No trousers or skirts were found, but 2 pairs of pyjama shorts and a pair of shoes Jennifer wore the previous day was not found. So her shoes were also taken.
Some people have weird fetishes.
That's what I was thinking. They take the underwear and the shoes as mementos. Either way, it's still a bit weird, right? So Jennifer was the previous day was not. Hang on, how can I word this? So Jennifer was wearing certain clothes all the time she was there, and many people thought she dressed quite smartly. The clothes that they found in the hotel room were not smartly.
Not a smart attire.
Not what she had been seen wearing, right? So it kind of makes you think, okay. So the police obviously found a magazine bag with numbers 2816 marked on it, with a subtle fingerprint which didn't belong to Jennifer. This was also found in her room.
It didn't match.
Yeah.
The partials and different things that they've got off of.
Right. It was sent to Interpol as of December 2017, still under examination. This magazine.
Yeah, they're literally like fine-tooth combing it, trying to get something and reconstruct this partial.
Exactly. So during Jennifer's time at the hotel, Jennifer attempted to call 2 numbers. Both these numbers were invalid.
Burn phones?
She could have got rid of the phones, or she could
or they were burn phones, and she was dialing those to get in contact.
Yeah.
So
it's believed she tried making calls out of the country. Right. Many guests say they heard nothing but a gentleman in room 2804 opposite Jennifer. He received a phone call by the hotel as they inquired about any suspicious noises since Jennifer's body was found dead, right?
Mm.
However, the gentleman had left, allegedly, before she had died.
See, this is getting more suspicious.
It's very weird, right? A post-mortem took place and revealed Jennifer was not 21 years old, but between the ages of 25 and 35. Right? There was no evidence of abuse of the gun. The stomach contents confirmed she had not eaten her food until 24 hours after she had ordered it.
Yeah, it was partial, wasn't it?
Yeah, but 24 hours after you
Partially.
order the food, you're
And
not
it was
gonna,
only half eaten.
and you're not gonna leave potato salad because it will go funny.
Mm.
But she'd managed to ingest it 24 hours after she'd ordered it. Yeah. And there was no alcohol also found in the system. So who was this woman? No one knows who this woman is.
No.
But like I said, the gentleman who they tried to call, who was opposite Jennifer in the hotel room, didn't answer. He'd checked out before they found her dead.
And do we have a name for this gentleman?
It might be Mr. F.
Mr. F.
Mr. F.
Mr. F and a dead Mrs. F in.
Too many F's.
Too many F's. For sake.
So do you have anything to add to this weird case of Mrs. F and Mr. F? Have I pretty much covered it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just me ranting about, is it a hash of an investigation? Like,
It's a very
they're
sloppy.
an hour and 15 minutes late.
Right, we said this.
They walked into the room going, suicide.
Right, listen. When we discussed the Sodder children,
Yeah,
it took the police
yeah.
almost 8 hours to get there, and it took these guys like almost 2 hours to get there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but is it easier for them just to walk into a room and go, suicide?
It's also easier for many police after the investigation has gone on so long to just point fingers and tell that person to take blame, and they'll let them off a bit easier.
Just
I
so
mean-
that they've got a name or a figure to put
Yeah.
to a name.
So this woman, let's just clarify this again. This woman checks into a hotel room, uses everything as fake as possible. Her name, her address, her employer, her number, right?
Is well practiced in that.
Yes. She also has a gun in her hand, which, like I said, that serial number will play on my mind forever, because having a serial number on the gun and having it professionally removed.
There was
No underwear, skirts or trousers.
There was 3 bullets missing in the clip.
In her clip.
In her clip. And
No passports, all the
no
clothing,
passports,
labels.
no documentation, all the labels gone.
It's like someone had cleaned the room. Now, bearing in mind there was
clothing or maybe identification, like this
Right.
might seem weird, but like,
and I would also like to add her dental records come up with nothing. She is a mystery.
she is a professional.
A professional what? Should we get to
Maybe,
the theories?
maybe she's Jenny Bourne.
Should we get to the theories? I do like the theories.
I think we should.
Let's go. Let's check out the theories. See what way you swing. So here are my theories on who Jennifer Fergate could have been. Jennifer Fergate was a secret agent, CIA classified, or someone possibly undercover. The gun in question often holds a lot of speculation, but for someone in that line of work, it could very much well be hers. Maybe she was a spy that maybe got too deep into her work. I thought about maybe someone could have exited the window. I mean, no one really thought about the window part of this and the balcony that was attached to her actual hotel room. So maybe that is how the intruder escaped. It was a question that often kept coming back into my head. So maybe they left the room after the gunshot. Maybe an undercover prostitute, no underwear at the scene. Often seems a bit weird to think of possibly a prostitute at this point, but many women back then would have more or less used different aliases to book hotel rooms and spend time with men. Could explain where she vanished for 24 hours. Unless we're going to go the spy route. Now, my other theory was the fact that she did take her own life, but does so in a way that no one else is to be blamed. Maybe she took her own life simply for the fact of there could have been a worse fate that could have happened to her at some point. So maybe she did take her own life, maybe she could have been a prostitute, or maybe she actually was a spy. I mean, for me to think that she could have been a sex worker, it doesn't add up with the gun. So for me to also think that possibly the guest in the room 2816 killed her could have made a bit more sense, especially with the USA Today magazine in her hotel room when it was meant for someone else. See, now I'm really torn. So what do you guys think?
Some of theories. Well, theory, really. With everything that I've read and researched through this case, it's more of, to me, the spy game. Now, whether she was a Norwegian spy or an American spy, we just don't know. She didn't really have an accent, as we've discussed. I really do think that there was someone else in that room with her. Now, whether that was what I would call the cleanup, or whether it was just to make sure that she'd done it the proper way. I don't know, maybe there was some ritual that spies do that maybe take off, I don't know, they have a code, maybe like an assassin's code. We just don't know. Now, the gun is military. There's no question. Like, to have it professionally removed, you know, no one wants to get caught with that gun because it's untraceable. So it just backs up the spy's story, basically. Like, whether she was undercover, whether she was too deep into it, or maybe she was just retiring, she just wanted to get out. Like, she'd got to the end of what she could cope with, maybe, and you know, the only reason that she would be killed or even executed, that's definitely execution style. I reckon she was trying to get out of something, and you know, you had the cleanup crew there to take away all the identifying aspects. You know, the trousers, the underwear, maybe had some residue or something, but we just don't know. Like, the labels, the identification, it just fits. And those 3 unexplained bullets, or maybe it was 2 and she used the last one on herself, but to me it just doesn't fit. Unless she was either trying to get out, or even she'd failed on a hit, maybe. You know, they very rarely use 2 bullets to do a hit. Maybe she failed. But anyway, that's my theory.
So, the Oslo Woman. Your main conclusion? She was a spy. Do we agree yet again?
To me it fits.
Okay, so I managed to write down that Jennifer was undercover. She was tracking someone upon finding who she was after. She takes the person to her room, no doubt met the person either leaving or entering their room. So she probably met them on the walkway, the landing part, from room to room, right? They had the magazine and the bag in hand. She lured them back to her room. Something went wrong. They ended up killing her. They escaped out the balcony, and they eradicated all evidence of who she was. That was my conclusion. She was there to kill someone.
Mm.
She stalked him for 24 hours. She knew how she was going to do it.
Well, you think 3 bullets?
Yeah.
We'll say that she used one on herself.
Yep.
Or whether she used it or someone else used it. There was one for herself.
Mm-hmm.
That means 2 bullets.
Yeah.
Unexplained.
Hmm.
Now you think assassin?
Yeah.
Whether she was
I
new
mean,
at the game, whether she was
they wouldn't
done it for a while, they wouldn't take 2 pot shots at one person.
No. If you are
unless
trained,
you missed the first time, and
I've-
you never miss the first
I've
time.
always learned hitmen are trained in one hit.
One hit, get out.
But that guy, Mr. F, the person
See,
that
now
was with
he-
her when she checked in.
He threw a curveball for me.
Mm.
See, now in my mind, I've got that. Yeah, we can agree that she was in the spy game somehow.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
she was in infiltration or something within that military aspect.
Yep.
Now, for me, it sounded like that she wanted to either get out, like she was getting out of the game,
Yeah.
kind of thing,
I'm with you.
or as I said, she had fucked up the hit,
Yeah.
and he was there to clean it up.
Okay. So she checks in with a guy, Mr. F. That's who I reckon she checked in with, right?
Well, it doesn't actually say that they saw his face.
No, they just said
Like,
that there was a guy.
There was a
with
guy
her.
with her.
Yeah.
Now he could have gone around and up the stairs to his room.
Mm-hmm.
There was no.
I would like to say there is a good theory online that said that the room opposite, the one where they called after finding Jennifer's body, that was Mr. F. And this is where I came up with that conclusion that Mr. F was also.
He was there for
He
something.
was also a spy or a hitman.
Mm.
And they attempted to kill said guy who she tried to lure into her
Into
room.
the room.
He couldn't come out because the gunshot had gone off.
Well, the security guard was there.
Yeah, he couldn't come out, and then afterwards he gave chase. Or Mr. F opposite cleaned up the room and made sure that they didn't know who she was, and he gave chase to the killer. I like the idea of Mr. F opposite chasing
He's
after.
there in case.
Yeah.
He's back up.
Yeah, he's the backup that was a bit late to the party.
Yeah. No, you would fit because it would explain why he couldn't come out of the room.
Yep.
Like, it would explain when they called up that he answered.
Yep.
Like, pretty much straight away, wasn't it? Like.
Yeah.
So
basically,
he was expecting someone to find.
So basically, Jennifer's body was found. The hotel staff called the room opposite, who, like I said, the mystery name was Mr. F.
Mr.
And the
F.
only similarity is Jennifer Fergate and Mr.
F.
Fergate.
Mr. Fergate.
Could have been the gentleman in the opposite room.
Mm.
Now, like I said, many people online, many theories and other theorists online have stated that that guy in the opposite room had something to do with the death, or he went in and covered up the death so no one would find out who she was.
Well, there was a case, like there was a few cases of Russian spies.
Yep.
And they always had the spy and the handler.
Yeah.
And the handler was always close by, but they didn't know where.
Yeah. So
like,
maybe she didn't know.
If the spy didn't do the job
Okay.
or get the job done,
Yep.
the handler will come in, do the job, clean it, or take care of the failure.
Yeah. So maybe the fact that maybe she didn't know who he was when she checked in. He was just stood there and said, check into this room, here's your details. And then they both went up and he was in the opposite room. It seems weird that it took the police almost 2 hours. In that time, whoever was in that room
Got in.
was in that room,
Or was
killed
in there.
her, or got in, killed her, left through the window, because they never mentioned anything about the balcony being attached,
No.
and the fire escape.
True.
Right? So they could escape out of that way.
Yeah, they
Is
never
it
actually said that the window was open or
No.
closed.
Is it possible that Mr. F went in there, and considering it was 2 hours, took her ID, took everything she had.
You know,
And made
being
sure-
a spy, you would have everything in one place for a quick getaway. Anyway,
Is it possible he was in there cutting the tags off of her clothes? Possibly took her underwear because it could leave DNA.
It could leave DNA.
Oh, this is weird.
And it's the partially digested food.
24 hours potato salad to give you bad stomach.
But it's
You order it.
even if you were force fed that, it still wouldn't make its way down.
No, it wouldn't be down there in time. Potatoes
So
are
I'm
possibly a slow burner inside your stomach.
Yeah,
Bit like
they're very
pasta.
slow because they give off their slow energy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
But like
then-
pasta, really, it distributes energy slowly. It would possibly burn. It would be quite quick to digest, I would imagine.
Not necessarily. It's one of those like
Quicker than meat, though.
yeah, a lot quicker than
Yeah.
meat. A lot quicker than meat. But yeah, it's the food it's throwing me off.
I have no conclusion.
I have no conclusion about the food.
I'm just thinking, if you're going to commit your own suicide, potato salad ain't your last meal.
No.
Potato salad.
Unless
Potato salad.
they
is
killed her 2 days ago. You know that room was.
Apparently, there was a smell.
You would only get a smell from decomposing, and that would start from 24 hours onwards. I would assume.
But her body wasn't. It was dead on the day. Otherwise, rigor mortis would have kicked in, and they never mentioned that at all.
Exactly, but they never mentioned that it was rigor mortis by the time they got it to the thing and
No.
the and the autopsy. You know,
This
it
Oslo woman
It
does
takes
motion.
48 hours for rigor mortis to set in and go and dissipate.
Yeah.
After 48 hours, you can move limbs.
I still don't. She was killed with that gunshot.
She was killed with the gunshot.
Yeah, she
I
was
give you
killed on the day with the gunshot, but it's just weird no one heard anything. And it's
that.
weird.
No one heard anything.
It's
but there was
weird
a
that the
smell.
guy opposite had left that hotel room early hours that day before she was killed. Allegedly. I don't like things being unsettled.
We agree on some points.
She was a spy.
And
Or a
the
hit.
person opposite or within the room
Was up to shady shit.
had something dodgy or was doing something dodgy.
And we still haven't got no further.
No. I think we're going to leave it as unsettled.
It's always unsettled.